Welcome to Healing Your Families. I am so excited for our guest today. She's going to be telling us about dogs. You know, I grew up in the era when the dog lived in the backyard in the doghouse, but now dogs are part of our family. We rely on them for emotional support, for companionship, and it's not such a simple matter of somebody has a puppy they want to give away. So I was excited. I got to meet an expert, Judy Weiss. She is a blogger and a dog lover. And she's going to tell us 5 things you need to know before you get a dog for your family. So Judy, welcome.
Hi, Emma Lou. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And I'm really excited to be here. It's an honor for me to have this opportunity to help families understand the commitment, the responsibility, and everything else when they decide to get a dog. And especially when there's children in a household, it's really important to be prepared in advance. So maybe I'll just I'll tell you a little bit of my background.
Please do. Yes, everyone has a story. How did you become?
So 20 years ago, I was studying psychology in university, and what they do is they introduce animal behavior and training and that aspect to it, which fascinated me. A few years later, I ended up getting my own dog, a mini poodle, and I was so entrenched in the whole experience that I started my local dog care business, where I provide private dog care services for local people here in Toronto, by the way. And I thought at the time that as time went on, I was realizing that people had different inappropriate or inaccurate expectations about dogs. And I was educating people along the way to explain what was necessary for us as humans to fulfill their needs. And once we fulfill their needs, then we have a symbiotic relationship with them, and we are respectful to them. So jump another, I don't know, 16, 17 years, and I started my blog so that I could educate people on a grand scale. And this topic I wanted to talk about tonight was the 5 things people need to know before they get a dog. And the first thing that people need to know is your lifestyle suitable to having a dog living in your home? Because if it's not, then now's not the right time. And how does somebody know if their lifestyle is suitable? Well, in my blog, I go into more detail at judysdogreport.com. But I could tell you that the first thing is you need to know if someone's going to be home on a regular basis, because dogs are social beings. If they don't get that social interaction, it could manifest in really bad behavior. It might be biting people. It might be that they're destroying furniture every time you go out because they have separation anxiety. And that is something that could develop even if you do have people home, and you got to prevent that to begin with. So is your lifestyle suitable for it? You're going to have to be aware that you're going to have to train the dog. You're going to have to walk them. You got to play with them. You got to hang out with them. They're not just an object to just put aside when you're busy and then incorporate them when you're ready for them. So that's the first question. Is your family structure, is your household set up for that? Especially if you have a puppy. If you end up getting a puppy, it's a full-time job for the first 3 months to a year. And you got to be very careful along the way so that you nurture the characteristics of the dog that you want to nurture so that they become the family dog that you want them to. It's like children. And actually, an adult dog is really like a permanent 2-year-old. So to give people an idea of what kind of a commitment it is, it's I would say 10 to 15 years of having a 2-year-old live with you. They don't understand our life. They don't understand our society. They don't understand any of that. What they understand is our immediate interaction with them. So is your family committed to that? And is it a promise to that dog that you will give him a forever home? That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you do have children, how old are they? It's hard to give a hard number, but I would say a child under 8 may not understand the responsibility, and it may be too much for the parents to be able to handle, even if it's an adult rescue dog, because rescues need training, they need to adapt to their environment. And now the parents have to worry about, oh my God, I got to take care of my young children if they're much younger than 8, and I got to take care of this dog. That's another reason why dogs can be surrendered to shelters. It just becomes overwhelming for the parents. And so by 8 years old, a child can learn how to appropriately interact with a dog. Very young toddlers have a tendency to grab the dog, poke their eyes, pull their ears. And some dogs, a lot of dogs are very tolerant to that. But then I ask parents, is that fair? Is that fair to the dog? And because the theme of my blog is making ethical choices when caring for dogs. And to me, the most ethical thing is to say, is this fair? And if it's not, then we have to look at it from the dog's point of view, because the dog can't explain it. So that's just something to think about. In my blog about 5 things to know before you're getting a dog, I do reference a book of somebody I know. The link is not working well now, and he's working on it. But it's a book to take young children. I think his target is 5, 6 years old, to explain to them when they say, I want a dog, well, this is what it's about. And the book actually takes the child through day by day by day, what he or she will have to do to help care for this dog. And the point of the book, actually, he has said, the author, Karen Walsh is his name, he said, is that they don't even make it to the end of the book, and they turn to their parents and they say, I don't want a dog.
They just need to understand.
Right. And because I think it's very difficult for the parents even to really picture what the day-to-day life is going to be for the parents and the child with having a dog in the house, and especially a puppy. So there's more information about that on my blog, and I am hoping that link will be working in the next 24 to 48 hours. And if not, people can contact me through my blog contact page. And this way I could let them know when it's running. So that's all about setting up your household. Is your lifestyle suitable? The second thing is, you need to plan to think, well, in your household also, you have to plan to hire a trainer, because most people are not experienced enough to prevent problems. So it's good to plan for hiring a trainer. The other thing is, where do they live? Do they live in an apartment? Do they live in a house? It's more complicated when you live in an apartment, not only to get the dog out to do their business, but if a dog is barking, when you live in an apartment, you are subjected to neighbors reporting that to property managers, whether it's a rental or a condo. And then the circumstances could reach such a point where the people have to either move or surrender the dog. And that's one of the other primary reasons that dogs end up in shelters. And this is why some of the dog adoption agencies and shelters, one of the first questions they ask is, where do you live, in a house or an apartment? Because they're aware of this, and they're not being discriminatory. They're just going to ask you a lot of questions if you live in an apartment, and say, what if this happens? You know, what if you're reported? What will be your backup plan? That's why it's important to get a trainer lined up first, so that you could prevent a dog that seems to be a barker from barking. And I'll say it's not 100%. It's not like you could turn a button off. There are some dogs that you may not be able to stop them from barking when you're not with them. So the people need to have a backup plan. What happens if I end up with a dog like that and I live in an apartment? It's just something they need to consider. And whether the person wants to adopt or buy a puppy. If they want to buy a puppy, and I've been told by sources in the US that there are different circumstances there where some of your shelters do have puppies, but here in Canada, 99% of shelters have adult poorly bred dogs. Sad to say, but if there's puppies in a shelter, they're all coming from puppy mills. And so I explained to people that they're hard to find puppies in shelters to begin with. So I said, chances are if they want a puppy, they need to know how to recognize and avoid puppy mills. And I have a whole blog on that. Because the way I look at it is making ethical choices in terms of caring for dogs starts with where we get our dogs. And our money that we put into the industry determines whether we allow unethical enterprises to continue and to pursue a business, even though it's illegal.
Could you just explain about the puppy mills? What define it?
So puppy mills, and that's a whole other topic. Really, I did
just a brief definition.
So puppy mills are illegal entities in North America and in Europe that they will house as many dogs as possible. They'll stack them in cages, the adults. These adults are never let out of the cages. The puppies, when they're born, they're never let out of their cages. They're not nurtured. They're fed very cheap food. They're not given medical attention. They're not groomed. They're not cared for in any way. The typical types of dogs that come from puppy mills are small breeds. Shih Tzus, Havanese, Couton du Talaires, like the small little puppies, breeds that can fit into as many cages as possible that they can stack. Now, no one can identify a puppy mill because they're smart. They're not visible. What they do is they have brokers that operate on their behalf locally. So these people are usually people who need money and they're paid to do this. So they're in potentially anywhere in a big city. They could be anywhere in a small apartment. And if someone calls and thinks that they're calling a breeder and the person says, oh yeah, we have lots of puppies, hang up. Because no high quality breeder should have they should have no more, they shouldn't even have any puppies available at the moment. And it could be a year to a year and a half or longer. So that's just to give you a sense, like the bigger breeds are not necessarily from puppy mills, but they're often from backyard breeders who don't know anything about lineage and how to properly breed a dog for good health, good temperament, and everything else. And I have, yeah, it's very complicated. So I just wanted to mention that people should reach out to experts to help them find good sources to either adopt from high quality shelters or to buy from a high quality breeder. For example, my last mini poodle passed away a year ago. She was 16. So, I'm okay with that. And I waited a year and a half because I knew a breeder for the last 10 years that was connected to the one that I got my other dog from. And I just got him a month ago. And it was a hard wait. But my point is that we need to put our emotions on the back burner. We need to make choices that are best for the dogs. And if it meant I couldn't find a breeder for a good high quality breeder ever, so be it. We need to be responsible. We need to look out for them because they can't look out for themselves. So that's one of the reasons why today's mutts, quote unquote, that are in shelters, like humane societies, are not the same quality of characteristics and health and everything else as they were back in the day. It's because now most of those dogs are from really poor quality breeders, whereas in the past it was random breeding. It was dogs in the country on farms or whatever that got together, and that's a much healthier selection of genetics than what we're doing on this level of puppy mills and backyard breeders. So it's complicated. The other thing I tell people is that mixed breeds are not a breed, and there's no guarantee of anything. You don't know if their fur is going to be fur or hair. Like some people might be more sensitive to fur or hair. You may want a golden retriever and you get one and it sort of looks like a golden retriever, but it's acting like a German Shepherd. It could be problematic because the behavior, if you don't know you have a guard breed, when you asked for a golden retriever, or it's even, I'm just saying something that's mixed, like even a golden doodle, they might tell you it's a golden doodle and who knows what that's made up of realistically. So I say, if you want a mix, don't spend all that money, go to a shelter and adopt a mix because it's the same risk. So that's what the other aspect. I wanted to talk about also to research the breeds, find out what they were bred for, because working dogs need to work. And if they're not given the opportunity to do what they were bred for, it can manifest itself in really neurotic behavior, which is bad for us and it's horrible for them because they don't get to do what they were born to do. So just to watch out for that. Some breeds are meant to be pets, like Shih Tzus, Chihuahuas. Poodles are semi-working dogs. If you keep their mind stimulated with anything, you're good with that. But if you're going for the bigger breeds, not necessarily bigger, Jack Russells can be very difficult pets because they're super high energy and they haven't been bred out of them to dig holes to search for rodents. So they can be quite destructive, of no fault of their own, you know. So it's important to do research on the breeds, look at a lot of different sites. Most sites won't tell you the absolute truth of what a breed is like they'll tell you the generalities, but also there's no absolute truth anyway, because studies have shown in the last, actually it started in the 1920s, and other studies that I've come across from experts that I read their articles, they have said that they keep proving that behavior of dogs varies more within a breed, individuals within a breed, than between breeds, which is shocking to dog trainers, including me when I first learned that. So we have to get away from stereotypes of, oh, this is a German Shepherd, it's a guard breed, and it's going to behave this way. And then we're surprised when it's not. So, yeah. Moving on to that's all in the lifestyle thing. That's all in terms of, are you prepared to get a dog? After that, the next thing people need to really understand is budgeting. Owning a dog is extremely expensive. After you pay for it, even it's very expensive. The vet bills alone can be thousands of dollars. Dogs are more expensive than cats in some ways because they're outside. They get into trouble. They can get injured. Surgery can cost $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, like up front. So that's the secondary reason that dogs are surrendered, and vets will force them to, because the dog either has to be euthanized or treated if the guardians, the dog guardians, don't have the funds to pay for it. Food, high quality food is expensive. Feeding your dog cheaper brand foods and whatever isn't going to help, because you're going to have higher vet bills then. And your dog won't be as healthy, won't be as happy, and your dog won't live as long. So budgeting is really important. You got a budget for vet bills, boarding your dog when you go away, training your dog. Maybe you need a dog walker, although not so much these days because people work from home, but still. And grooming. Grooming can be very expensive as well. And I have a whole blog on how to find a high quality groomer, because you want your dog to be safe. I always say this, it doesn't matter if the cut is really ugly of the hairstyle. You just got to make sure your dog is going to be safe, because there's a fair number of groomers that are not deliberately planning to hurt the dogs, but they just may not be experts at what they do, and they just may not have the wherewithal to understand what they have to do to keep their dog safe beyond the actual clipping, where they can injure them with the equipment. But the dog to dog interaction on site, I always look for groomers where they crate the dogs, because then I know there won't be a dog fight. And one thing I will just mention about dog groomers, that it was actually, I think, on 60 Minutes in the States, going back about 10 years ago, they talked about how dog groomers were using these heat boxes, so that they put the dog in a heat box to dry them. So dogs that don't need to be blow dried, but just need to be dried, they put them in the heat box so they could start working on other dogs. And I don't think this is happening now, but a few dogs had died because they overheated. When I have asked groomers here, they say, yes, I have that, but it's on a timer, like it'll turn off, right? But still, even so, the whole thing. I go for a higher quality groomer that's actually going to blow dry my dog, you know. But just to be aware of that. And the fourth thing to look for is to research ethical services such as dog groomers, veterinarians, boarders, dog walkers. Make sure they're ethical. And my blogs talk about a checklist of what to look for, just so the person has some kind of awareness, because we put so much trust in these services that we just assume that they'll do the right thing, but it ain't necessarily so. And the fifth thing that people need to know is to plan on who's going to plan for the unthinkable. And that is, what happens if you as the dog owner become sick, pass away, just even financial circumstances where you can't take care of the dog. Do you have a successor? Do you have somebody that can take the dog, and you put it in writing somewhere? I even asked this last breeder that I just met when I got this dog. Well, I mean, I've known him for 10 years, but when we had a chat, and I said, can I put your name in my will in case both my husband pass away? And he said, absolutely. But beyond that, he said, put a letter attached, place it all over your house, send it to all your families and friends, giving his name as the person to give the dog to if we become incapacitated. Because he said it could take 7 to 10 days before an executor of a will actually reads that section. It could be longer. And by that point, who knows where your dog is going to be? So that was really insightful for me. But I did write a blog also on plan for what happens if you can't take care of your dog, because it's like leaving a child behind. So those are the 5 things. Make sure your lifestyle is suitable for the dog, and do your due diligence with all the things that I mentioned. Research the breeds, understand dog behavior before you get into this, budget for the expenses, and research ethical services, and plan for and if someone needs to take care of your dog if you're not around.
Now, you mentioned rescue dogs. Now, it's my understanding a rescue dog may have been traumatized, may have had an owner that was cruel.
Yes.
Can a rescue dog be a good family dog if you have a home with children?
It depends on the dog. And so in my blog on finding ethical dog adoption agencies, I talk about the good ones will ask you a lot of questions and match you up to the right dog. A good shelter will not give you a dog that's likely to bite children. And the dog itself has to have some kind of rehabilitation. Like the best agencies I like are the ones that have the dogs in foster care, because then the foster person gets to know that dog and can report to the agency, his good things, his bad things, and what he has to, homes that would not be good for him, homes that would be good for him. Some dogs cannot be in a house with another dog, let alone children. So it's a really good question you asked, because the parents need to a family in general needs to ask these adoption agencies, help me match that right dog to me, and don't necessarily take the one that you think is the cutest.
And that's how I think decision is mostly made. I remember hearing when the movie 101 Dalmatians came out,
yes,
children were begging to have a Dalmatian, and I understand that's not necessarily a good family pet.
No, Dalmatians are adorable, but they're high energy. Their reputation is, like, I never met one personally in person, to tell you the truth, but their reputation from people I know is that they're not very intelligent. So because they're not, they don't grasp patterns of behavior easily, and which is surprising, because they're like, the cliche is that they were on fire trucks. So
the movie made them look real smart.
Oh, yeah, so smart. They also made Jack Russell look like they could be under control, right? Like in the Mask and the TV show of Frasier.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're talking, these are TV level trainers that have these dogs so well trained. That's not necessarily what's going to happen at home. No, it's a good question. It's like, so that's why I wrote a blog on finding ethical dog adoption agencies or rescue agencies, because you need to trust them that they're going to match the right dog to you.
So you would know you had a reputable agency if they asked you a lot of questions,
Yes.
if they could tell you a lot about
Yes.
this dog and how they needed to be handled or
Yes.
the environment. So that you're checking for that. Now you mentioned hiring a trainer.
Yes.
And I don't know that many, what does that involve? So how would you find one? You know, what would you expect? How long does it take?
In my blog of 5 things you need to know, I do cover what to look for in a trainer. And I actually provide links to international directories where I'm there, but trainers only train locally, right?
Yeah. So they could find one in their area.
Yes. So I have links in that blog on judysdogreport.com, 5 things you need to know before getting a dog. Specifically, that's the name of the blog itself that I wrote. And in there I talk about how to find a trainer. And the best thing is to go to these links, because these are force-free trainers. They train dogs very humanely, and they don't encourage any force whatsoever. So that's a really good question. It's complicated. I would say a basic thing is to ask the person if they're force-free.
Okay, force-free.
Anyone who's using, so here to go back a little bit of history, up until the mid-90s, in 1975, there was, and I can't remember his name, this behavior scientist who put out a book about alpha dogs. And he was reiterating a studies that were done in the 1920s, reiterating that yes, dogs descend from wolves and they have wolf behavior, and there's an alpha, and you gotta behave like an alpha yourself, or you won't get the dog's respect. And that involves hitting them, pushing them, kicking them, like whatever. The man that published the latest book of that in 1975, he realized in 1995, around that time, when he tried to repeat his own research, he couldn't repeat it. And he realized he was wrong. And so he has, for 20 years, he's been trying to remove his book from published places so that it doesn't perpetuate the problem. And it says something. So now we're undoing all that. There are trainers that have been using that approach forever. And they have experience, but their experience is considered outdated now. And it actually it's considered inhumane, because it's like children. You're not going to nurture the best out of children. It's so unfair to them if we use force. It's exactly the same thing. The other thing I say to people, it's like, if you're working for somebody, who are you going to want to work for and put your true motivation in? A boss that is encouraging and nurtures you and educates you, or the one that is cracking the whip and threatening to fire you if you don't work as the way he or she wants you to? We're all going to choose the nice guy, right? It's the same thing. Now, the only thing is that with people will say, oh yeah, but with force, it works. It works faster because the dog is terrified of you, but it's not a relationship.
Well,
And
it sounds like the same.
At some point, that dog might bite you.
Yes, it sounds like the same principle as yelling at your children. You know,
yes,
when you yell at them, yes, there will be an immediate response, but
yes,
that long-term relationship is damaged.
Yes, it's exactly the same thing.
So when you hire a trainer, is that like a set amount of time? Is the trainer training your dog and teaching you how to work with your dog?
So typically, the trainers will call themselves different things: dog trainers, dog behavior consultants. Behaviorists in Western culture is really reserved for those with a science background.
Okay.
So I push back when I come across trainers who call themselves behaviorists, because I'm saying you didn't put the time and expertise into this, right? It's not fair to the people who are actual scientists, behaviorists with PhDs.
Yeah.
Right. So the consultants and the trainers, typically what they'll do is they'll come to your house. If there's behavioral issues, they need to do one-on-one training. They will assess the problem. They'll visibly assess the problem and ask you questions because they want to match what you're saying with what they're seeing. And sometimes you can't duplicate the behavior right at that moment when the trainer's there. So they got to trust what you're saying is accurate. Given that it depends on the problem, it depends on what your goals are. A trainer can develop a training package for you and say, look, it looks like for what your goals are, you're going to need once a week, 1 hour of me training you to train your dog. Because for me to train your dog, I got to take your dog home. And I don't know how long it'll take. And that's very expensive. That's called boarding training.
Yeah.
But the boarding trainees, there's some really good ones, but very few. Most of those have very bad reputations of being aggressive with the dogs. So I always shy away unless it's, they're dealing with a dog that has such bad behavior in terms of dangerous behavior. Although sending them to something like that could just make them more dangerous. It's very complicated, but I would say you're asking, what will that look like? It depends on what the person's goals are, what the dog needs. And they can develop a good relationship with their trainer. You end up having this relationship where you've paid this person to give you some skills. And as long as you are consistent and you actually practice those skills based on the prescription that the person has recommended, like saying 5 minutes every day, 10 minutes every day, or whatever. And if you're having difficulties along the way, a good trainer will support you without charge. At least in my case, I don't charge extra for that. Because as far as I'm concerned, is I gave you some knowledge, and any knowledge that I give you, I want to support it, and I will support it forever for free, because I want to make sure you actually feel comfortable, that you're encouraged to follow through.
I love this. You have given us so much good information. So it really is an investment. It takes time, research, making sure you're getting the right dog at the right time, right trainer, and understanding that, again, I remember when dogs were fed scraps off the table, and that's not a healthy diet for a dog. So it's understanding all these costs and taking on that responsibility. We have a problem with people who don't take care of their dogs. So this is, and it says I definitely need to go to your website.
Yes.
JudysDogReport.com. Yes. You just gave us a sample, and it sounds like there's much more depth there.
The section that will interest, I think, your viewers is the menu option called health and welfare for your dog.
Okay.
All these things I talk about are in that menu.
Awesome.
And I have several menus, so they might look at it and go, where do I go?
And they can contact you through your blog.
Yes, there's a page called Contact Us.
Wonderful. Judy, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And I appreciate your questions. They're very thoughtful questions.
So for my viewers, join us again next week at the same time. Until then, love yourself and love your families. And families include those furry pets. So this is Emmylou Penrod with healingyourfamilies.com.